So we've made you a free Search Console dashboard template for Looker Studio. You just better plug in your Search Console template and off you go to the races. If you're looking to get a bit more out of your Search Console, this should be a fantastic place to go and do it. If you find even this version still lacking and you're running into the constraints of Looker Studio, we've also got a version of what you can do with a data warehouse behind it. And if you're interested in an even more fully featured version, please get in touch with us. It's the sort of thing we can help with. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk into the setup for this dashboard. You can't just make a copy of it in a traditional way. It requires a little bit more setup and talk through. So we're going to talk through all of that now. But it's in service of a better dashboard. So yeah, hopefully you find it helpful. Okay, so I popped open the blog post over here and let's talk about how to get this set up. So initially, I'm going to head over to the pipetout.com site. I'm going to hit resources. I'm going to hit the resource library, hop into here, and then when you see this, Search Console template won't say coming soon. There will actually be the template with the download template link. It will open it. Go ahead and open it in a new tab. At the moment, when we're publishing this video, this hasn't been launched yet, so it still says coming soon. Great. Then we're going to head back to the blog post and we're going to start setting this up. You can't just directly copy the report. If you do, it won't work. You won't see any data sources that work with this report. That's because our report is a little bit more complicated. We've got a little bit more functionality going on, and that means that we have to, make a copy of it in a slightly different way. So we're going to go ahead and add a source Looker Studio, and I'm going to walk you through it. Over in Looker Studio, we're going to hit Create Data Source. And then we're going to hit Search Console. Great, then in here we're going to pick our site. We're going to pick URL impression and web. And then we're going to pop up here and we're going to call this something like Search Console Dashboard pipetout.com. Great, then we're going to go ahead and click Connect. Great, now we need to go and set up all the fields and parameters that the report's going to need to work. So, again, I would probably recommend doing this with one on either screen, but to pop open to here, we're going to hop into our report and we're going to just start going through this. I will talk through these, one or two of these as we go, but then I'll probably fast forward when I run out of interesting things to say on each of them. And for the parameters, there isn't a huge amount. For these ones, you're really just kind of copying these guys over as you go. So let's talk through how we do one of them. So we've come down to our parameters we need to add section. And the first one, the breakdown selection parameter. So we're going to pop over to here. We're going to click Add Parameter. And then we're just going to go and copy out the values from all the different ones. So we've got the name is breakdown selection parameter. The ID is breakdown selection. It does technically fill this in, but sometimes they are slightly different. So I would always just copy this across. The data type is text, and then there's a permitted list of values. So we've got the data type text, list of values, and our list of values are value label. So we've got device category here. Go ahead and pop that in, and we've got country. Okay, so that's how we go ahead, and then we click save over here. That's how we go ahead and add in the parameters. I'm now probably just going to fast forward this and speed through the other ones. Okay, so that's the parameters done. Now we need to go ahead and make the fields. These ones I'm probably not going to fast forward through as much because there's a little bit to talk through for each of the fields. So let's pop over to here and go through them one by one. The first one is breakdown selection. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to copy over the name. I'm then going to copy over the ID. And then I'm going to copy over the formula. And in this one, nothing changes. So this one is a relatively simple one. However, in some of these, quite a few things are going to change. So if we come down to the next one, this next one is field category. So we'll go ahead and add this one in as well. So this one here is to show you the sections of your site, right? Is it your category pages, your product pages, your blog, your content? What you want to do here is you've got a relatively basic formula here, just to kind of set you up with. If I paste this in, just show you how this works. So we've got regex contains landing page, and then we have some regex that matches it. And then that returns the string product page. When it matches this string categories, it will return category page, content page, content page. If regex contains is a little bit scary, or you're sort of struggling with that, we've got a basic version over here, which is just, this is the pattern for just contains. However, I would broadly say, really don't be too scared of regex. 90% of the time, it's going to function like contains, and you get this really wonderful thing, which is that if you put in a pipe, that's an OR right there, is valid. So this now would match products or P, which is a really, really helpful way to do that. But do whichever one is fine, works for you, and remember to set this up for your own website. So that's our categories added. And remember, when you're copying this across, really make sure you're getting the ID. This is what Looker Studio, when we make the copy of the report in the end, is going to use to tie together the fields and not break, basically, when we copy it. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and add in intent categorization here. This one might need a little bit of personalizing here. So what this is a fairly basic case statement, and what it's doing is it's looking at all of the different queries that you have, and it is essentially grouping them into buckets. So again, this is similar layout to before. We basically say when your query, or when the user's query matches one of these words, we return informational. When it matches one of these, we return commercial, and this becomes transactional. You probably want to customize this. You may want to customize this for your own area. This is relatively basic. So we've got like what, who, where, why sort of become informational, buy, coupon, cheap sort of things become transactional, and so on. In order to customize this, the easiest way to do this, this is regex, is just to put a pipe on the end of here and then type in the next word that you want to customize. If you're feeling more complicated, then you've had to do a bit more with regex, you can do it that way. But for people who are just sort of getting started, we've just set this up so you can essentially just type in the next thing, copy this format here, and this will just match. This will match entire words, is what this is also doing. So yes, that should be good to go. Okay, so quick note about these bottom ones. Again, hopefully if you've been following along with the video, you won't have had any problems here, but if you happen to have followed this out of order and you have opened the parameters first, and you've done the fields before the parameters, this is not going to work. You have to do the parameters first before the fields, otherwise this won't work because these fields are built on the parameters. So that's just sort of a quick note there that if you happen to be trying to do this the other way around, it won't work. Okay, fantastic. So at that point, that's all of our fields created. There's one or two more things. The next step is pretty optional. So let's go talk to whether or not we won't care about targets. Okay, step 4, do you care about targets? If you don't care about targets, you can just copy with the existing sheet and delete the target page, which will no longer work. If you do care about targets, you're going to want to hop over here into the spreadsheet that comes with it. You're going to want to change these targets to something sensible. Targets happen at a country level here. So yes, so you'll want to kind of set that up according to whatever targets and countries you might be aiming for. Okay, fantastic. So if you've got this far, it's finally time to make a copy of the report. What we should now be able to see here, and as you can see over on this illustrated here, is if we've successfully set up our fields as before, this will now be showing as an available data source. If you just tried to make a copy of this, you won't have seen any available data sources because you have to set it up first. Okay, so if we've set up this correctly, we should now be able to go into here and make a copy of it. So let's pop on over here and we'll hit the drop down, and hopefully our newly named data source should now be there. Great, so in our case it was. We didn't show this because we didn't show customer data, but our drop down here, and here is our same named data source. So now we're going to go ahead and click to copy the report. This is just going to take a minute over here, and hopefully if we've done everything correctly, we shouldn't see any problems or breakages in the report. Looks like everything is just loaded okay. If we happen to have done this incorrectly, what we would now see is we'd see a big old X something on here in Looker Studio. What that almost certainly means is that when we set up the data source, we didn't set it up with the right set of IDs. So at that point, you're going to want to pop back in here and check your field, whatever field it says is broken or is missing. Basically check these field IDs because that's the thing that will have broken. Great, so now there is actually still one further piece of configuration to do here. And that is, if you have a really big site, this here is not going to load. You just can't do this. Looker Studio the blends are kind of janky, and if you have a tall big website, Pipetown is not particularly large, this just won't work. So if that's the case, you'll want to come to edit the report. You go to manage pages, and we have this second performance over time for a large website, which has this slightly less good, to be honest, visualization here, but this will actually at least work for the larger websites. So yes, that's enough to hopefully get you started in there. At this point, fantastic, we're up and ready to go with it. Okay, so hopefully that's been a useful run through of how to set up and how to get running with our default report. But it has some limitations, it can't do everything. If you would like some more powerful reporting, a more powerful set of things, please get in touch with us. We help SEO and marketing teams build out better reporting and get better handle on their numbers and data analysis. What we're looking at here is an equivalent of our piped out free Search Console dashboard, but this time we've put a full data warehouse analysis behind it, and we can get so much more out of it. We've built it to look kind of similar at the front end, but when we dig into it, we get so many more options. For example, coming down to our filters, now we can show we can just filter to just the pages which bring in most of our traffic. So if we were to tick these 3 boxes here, we'd get all of the pages that bring in 0 to or up to 50% of our organic traffic, which in this case is only 14 pages. We can quickly look and segment on our most important pages. We can segment on whether or not the path was crawled or the date that we first saw the path to just look at our new pages. When we come down to things like here, you can see that we've also been able to combine with other data sources. So we've been able to combine with things like GA4 in this case to pull through organic signups and revenue and have that joined to Search Console. That then also lets us generate things like this funnel view. So we can show you pages with impressions, clicks, all the way down to clicks and revenue and signups to show you how that progresses through. Same thing as before, we've got that same graph like we saw in the other one, but now we can pull through more interesting metrics. We don't just pull through revenue, we can pull through, we don't pull clicks and impressions, we can pull clicks and revenue and see how those plot together. Sometimes we just have graphics where we can just do more because the data is richer and we have more powerful ways to work with it. So we're able to pull average rank directly onto this breakdown, and we can have more buckets here for a site of any size, which just isn't possible in Looker Studio. Same thing when we come down to our dimension breakdown, we have far more dimensions here, and that's because we have access to more internal sources that we've joined together for the website to get richer segmentations of products and categories. Even when we come down to these tables, we just have more fields to pull apart. So for example, we can see what percentage of total it makes up. So we can see here that GBR makes up 62% of our total revenue and 44% of our total clicks over this date period. This just allows us to more quickly and better understand how the site pulls apart in segments. And we have other things like where was the path crawled throughout the time period. And we have these new features and these extra things and abilities we're able to do across all the different pages of the dashboard. And that's alongside just running faster. If we hop over to the period comparison page, we can see the same thing. Again, we've got more powerful options. So firstly, we can far more easily drop down and compare between different segments. We can now just switch between year and period with the flick of a button. And we have other options like day look back, which allows us to explicitly skip periods of days. So for example, if your analytics has dropped out for 3 days here and you're struggling to get a good period to compare, this will allow us to pick a very custom, to compare against a very custom period to avoid that. Same thing here, we're able to pull through far more useful and valuable filters. So again, we can still pull the same ones as before, our top percentage of revenue, and see just how those pages have changed, but we can also segment by the top pages by clicks, or clicks increases or drops. So we can just visit the ones which have changed the most if we want to cut down our scope of where we're digging our analysis into. Across this whole thing, we just have access to more metrics and better ways to help you understand the numbers. Same thing down here. We've got our clicks and impressions, but we've also got our revenue and our email signups. If we come all the way down to the tables, we've also got more helpful numbers when we come into here. So we can see that overall our clicks dropped by about 6%. When we come down to our table, we can have a look into here and we can see, okay, that's 6%. Where is that broken down by? Okay, we lost 11% traffic on our categories, and we gained 3% and approximately 2% on our homepage and articles for a total of 6%. This kind of segmentation and breakdown to quickly show where the changes happened just isn't possible with the default connector. And we have this across all of them. And again, because we have all of these bits, and we've got this in optional here at the moment, but obviously this can be set up depending on what you want. We've got all of our revenue, our impressions, our email signups, for whatever is most valuable to put into the tables and to show right then. And of course, all of this is alongside the natural benefits that you're going to get over a data warehouse. We're going to have far more than 16 months. We're going to load far more of your data and have access to far more of it. Even when we come through to something like the target screen, we can just do more powerful things. Now we can show you day by day your progression against the target, rather than just showing it as the flat bar. Where did we fall behind? We can see in this case, we fell behind towards about 9 days into the month, and then we slowly picked up some speed at the end. We're able to just pull through and segment the numbers in more powerful ways. Okay, so hopefully that's been helpful in getting the report set up and ready to go. If you need any other help with it, obviously just tweet me over on Twitter or respond on LinkedIn, and I can try and help you with any of the problems you might have getting this set up. We've got more stuff over at our website and things like that. And if you would like to get more out of your data and reporting, please get in touch with us. We build and manage data warehouses for SEO and marketing teams and the reporting that goes with it. We can help you build faster reports, get better insights, and we can do it in a fraction of the time you'd be able to do it normally. So please get in touch with us. Hopefully that's been helpful, and yeah, we'll see you next time.